Welcome once again to another episode on the White Dog Garage YouTube channel. My name is Bob. In this video, it's going to be a short one. It's going to be a tips video. And what I want to talk about is joining short lengths of steel together to make long lengths. If you work with a lot of steel like I do, you end up with all sorts of offcuts. Sometimes you have a job where if you just had it a little bit longer, you could use it. What I want to show you today is how to join them together so they're straight and true. I'm using box section because that's what I need to join together. The method holds for other forms such as pipe or angle.
Apart from the pieces that you want to butt weld together, the essential items you need for this method is a straight length of angle and clamps. The piece of angle chosen needs to be an appropriate size, both in length and thickness for the pieces being welded. Here I am using a 600mm long piece of 40mm by 40mm angle, and I am joining square hollow section steel of the same outside dimension. In general, the larger the pieces being welded together, the larger the piece of angle will need to be. The ends of two pieces being joined need to have a matching face. The two faces shown here have miter cuts. I have beveled both sets of faces in preparation for butt welding the two pieces together. With the ends butted up, I first clamped the two pieces to the bottom of the angle and then clamped the pieces to the side of the angle, clamping lightly at first and then tightening up to properly seat the pieces against both surfaces or legs of the angle. Then I tack welded the three exposed corners of the two pieces being joined. Light tacks are all that are needed and resist the temptation to weld out the joint at this stage.
Okay, I've just done 3 tacks and I need to do a 4th one. So I'm just going to pull it out of the clamps. We need to put a 4th tack here. The important thing we need to be aware of is that the joined piece of steel is straight.
I'm sighting for straightness by eye. What I'm looking for is that the two adjoining sides of the square section are straight and that it hasn't twisted.
The problem is each weld will pull the box section in, which means that you could in theory have a banana shape like that. However, these are cut on an angle and I'm hopeful that it's not going to be too bad. I'm going to clamp it again, but this time I'm going to put some packers in to just move those tack welds away from the angle itself.
The packers are just short offcuts I have lying around. The critical point is that the packers have all the same thickness along the face of the angle they are being used on. Here I used short pieces of aluminium square section along the bottom and offcuts of steel flat bar along the side of the angle. With the material suitably packed out and clamped, I then welded the fourth corner of the joint. I had one more offcut to butt weld to this length, and the setup was done in the same manner as before. In this case the ends were square cut, but again the edges were beveled before joining. This time I used spacers to lift the angle above the table and positioned the pieces so that the already tacked up joint was beyond one end of the angle.
So with the last tack done, we can break it out of the angle and weld it out. And it's still straight.
With the tack welding all done, I then welded out the two butt joints. It is worth mentioning that I follow a weld sequence around the joint to minimise distortion. This can be as critical as doing your tack welding. The first two welds were done in opposite directions on opposite sides of the square hollow section. These are the most important, and then after that I welded the remaining opposite sides. The direction here is not so important, but I welded again in opposite directions along the opposite sides. Some clients will not like to see small or short pieces welded into a long length, so you should discuss it with them before doing it. The joints can always be ground down so they don't show after painting, but that will depend on the client. It will also depend on the structure's design.
So it may not always be as simple as wanting to use, or a golden opportunity to use, some pieces out of the scrap bin. You may be faced with the issue of you have two full 8-metre lengths of, say, rectangular hollow section, and you need to cut or get out of that 3 5-metre lengths for the job that you're doing. Obviously, the two 8-metre lengths easily gives you two 5-metre lengths, and then you're left with two 3-metre lengths or thereabouts. You join those two 3-metre lengths together and you cut out your 5-metre length from that, and voila, you've got your three 5-metre lengths. So there's many ways in which you can use this technique to get yourself out of a bit of strife of not having a long enough piece of steel for the job. So this piece is all done now, ready to be used in another job. I hope you found that useful, and if you did, welcome a thumbs up, and please share it amongst your friends. If you are into fixing things, making things, renovating things, maintaining things, then White Dog Garage is the channel for you. And if you haven't already subscribed, well, I'd welcome your subscription. It's easy. Hit the bar down below with subscribe on it. And while you're there, don't forget to ding the bell so that you're reminded every time a new video comes out. Thank you again.